and vindication for your friend today.
Absolutely. I never doubted for one instant when these allegations first appeared last year that he was anything other than totally, totally innocent.
Why?
But because I know Bill, I've known him for 30-odd years, and he is incapable of that sort of behaviour. It just is not in his psyche, it's not in his nature. But having said that, there's always a concern from family and friends and the person concerned when you go to a court, because it's one person's word against another, and who knows which way the jury's going to go. So it's been very worrying for everybody, but obviously unbelievable torment for Bill and his close family.
And it's been going on since May of last year, hasn't it? I mean, you say you've known him for well over 30 years. What kind of man is he?
He's a lovely man. He's gentle, he's kind, he's thoughtful, he's caring, he's a gentleman. He's got great inner strength, and he talks about his spirituality a lot. He's very open about that, and that is obviously what's helped him get through this, because it's a sort of ordeal that a lesser person might have crumbled, to be honest, because the strain he's been under is almost impossible to imagine.
As you mentioned, this circle of love group, and I think he's talked about seeing them tomorrow night, so he's clearly drawing a lot of strength from that. And of course, you've known him for a long time, as we've mentioned. I know that he helped, he's a strong Conservative. He campaigned with you and your husband back in the 1997 elections. So given that you've got such a good relationship with him, what was it like for you personally when you heard about these allegations?
Well, I simply could not believe it. And you think, where has this come from? And of course, in your report, the statement from the police, I think it was, saying, of course, they have a duty to investigate. Of course they do. It doesn't matter who the allegation is made against, and even, whether it's against a celebrity or just a unknown person. Of course they have to investigate it. And what we mustn't forget in all this is that women are raped. Women are sexually abused in the most appalling way. And everybody wants to get to a situation where not a single rapist goes unpunished. But at the moment, we've got a lot of innocent men who are having their lives completely devastated in this way. And it isn't just the celebrities. This isn't just celebrities complaining. This happens to ordinary people day in and day out. And if you're on the front page of your local newspaper, that is just as devastating for you.
And that's an experience that you've had first-hand experience of, and so too as your husband, because your husband was falsely accused of raping a woman. Later, of course, that woman was jailed for making up the accusations. So have you given him support? Have you given him advice? Because you've been in that situation, haven't you?
Fortunately, we have not been in the complete nightmare situation that Bill and others have been in, of having to go through a court case. I mean, the police dropped their allegations. We were both accused of rape. I was accused of rape. This girl made up the most horrendous allegations, but the police actually dropped their charges. We were on bail for several weeks, so our ordeal lasted just a few weeks, not months and months. But there's always the no smoke without fire brigade, and this is the sort of legacy that this leaves. There are still people out there who think that we got away with it, and there are people there who think that Bill has got away with it, which is grotesquely unfair.
How will he come back after this? I mean, do you think that his reputation is tarnished at all in any way? You talk about no smoke without fire, or do you think his fans will bring him back with...
I don't think his reputation is tarnished in any way, but, to all sensible, sane people. But of course there are going to be a few people, and the Twitter sphere and the internet sphere, if that's a word, encourages all this sort of thing. But no, I mean, Bill has got, as I've said, he's got huge inner strength, great spirituality, a wonderful family around him. So I think he will bounce back.
And a very strong, close-knit family. I mean, how have they endured the past year, would you say?
Can you imagine what it's like to see your father, his name being dragged through the courts like that? It's utterly, utterly horrendous. It's a very, this whole situation with rape is so difficult. I mean, Bill is a great friend. I also have another friend who was horrendously abused between the ages of about 8 and 13 by her mother's partner. And she went to court about that, and nothing ever happened because they connived together to lie, the mother and the partner.
Very difficult situation.
It's a very typical situation, and we've got to get the balance right.
Of course. I mean, he has made some controversial comments in the past. I know he made that controversial TV interview in New Zealand talking about us maybe paying for sins in a previous life. He went on to say he was misunderstood, but he also said to Piers Morgan that he slept with over 1,000 women. I mean, do you think he now regrets making some of those comments?
I'm sure he does. Whether that was just probably a loose... I shouldn't think he doesn't seem to me to be the sort of person who counts notches on the bedpost. So that was probably just a fairly loose way of explaining that, in the 50s and 60s when he was a young man, etc., etc. But sleeping with lots of women is not the same as being a rapist and a sexual molester. I mean, they are totally separate.
So what does life have in store for him? Do you think will we see him back on our TV screens, and how will he cope personally? Will this change him, do you think, Christine?
It's probably made him a tougher person inside, made him more resilient. You know what the old saying, if it doesn't break you, it makes you stronger. I'm sure that's certainly the case with me, and all the things that we've been through have made me a stronger person, a more resilient person. So I'm sure he will actually come out of it well, because he's that sort, you know, he can cope with it. He has not, some people would have just completely gone to bits. And as the family unit, you've seen them coming in and out of court every day. If something like this happens and there's a fissure in your relationship, it's going to break you apart, whether you're a married couple or whatever. But if you've got a strong basic relationship, something like this just binds you together. And he's always been a very strong family man. The family have always been very important. But I mean, now, you know, they are united by steel.